This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Plow. In the north, as the Red Allies, we have LiCtor. And in the south, as the Yellow Soviets, this is Dimon. So LiCtor is back, although this game was played, I think, last year, so I guess he's not actually back. Dimon, on the other hand, is a player that I was more familiar with a couple of years ago. As far as I know, he came up relatively late in the game, and by that I mean 2014-ish? And LiCtor has been around for a little bit longer, but classic AVS on Plow. We'll, of course, have to see if there's a lovely turret push through the middle of the map. One refinery into War Factory opening with a flak cannon from Dimon. He, of course, sent out the bears for that early scout, trying to figure out what exactly is going on, and it was a quick airfield from LiCtor. Looking around, I assume, for engineers to try and kill off. Oil derricks there and there. I do always forget where they actually are. Refs finally have two bullfrogs coming out for Dimon, but I'm genuinely curious about this game because LiCtor did send me a message about it, but it was an older game, so hopefully that means that this is something he remembers as being a very epic game and not just like something that was someone recently played. And sometimes people play things recently and then they send them and they're like, it's a great game, and you're like, ooh, no, it's not. But with two names like Dimon and LiCtor, you can expect that this will be a pretty good match, no matter what. The idea of killing a bear with airplanes is hilarious in the real world. One terror drone going to be joining up with these bullfrogs, and we'll have to see exactly what Dimon has planned. He does just have the LiCtor, that is, does just have the one repair point, which is the airfield. I'm not totally sure what this conscript is going to be doing. Oh, he's going for the wall. The terror drone is on the wrong side for that, and he's very slowly going to be trying to pull down that wall. And is he going to be able to shock this harvester into not doing anything? And the answer is yes. So that harvester going to be frozen, and of course the Vindicator is going to have a difficult time doing anything with three bullfrogs camped directly on the airfield. Third refinery and a super reactor going to be coming down for Dimon. Another multi-gunner turret in the middle of the map for LiCtor. Investing quite a bit into multi-gunner turrets, and it's like even if the terror drone gets the infect there are immediately repair drones there to take care of that. Airfield going to be coming down for Dimon, going to be transitioning and widening the depth of his units, not just sticking with those bullfrogs on the ground. I assume he's going to be popping out some MiGs to help deal with the Vindicators. So he's not just using bullfrogs. LiCtor, on the other hand, expanding up to the high ground, going to be taking himself a fourth refinery, and that'll give him a little bit of an economic edge over Dimon if he is indeed actually able to get that third refinery up and going. Finally, going to get that barracks, and I assume Dimon is hoping to capture that oil derrick as well, although, of course, oil derricks are a dangerous thing in this particular game with an early airfield opening, and so we have a kind of a weird situation where neither one of the oil derricks has been captured several minutes into this game. Vindicators potentially going on a bombing run, but bullfrogs are pretty much already in position, and a little bit of damage, but not enough to be worried about. War Factory gets dropped by LiCtor, and it looks like he's going to be returning to home after taking down the bridge. So, oh, the terror drone actually can make it. Oh, well, I mean, it doesn't matter terribly, but presumably a Riptide or something will be popping out to deal with that. And LiCtor actually going to be dropping in at that low power mode. If Dimon was actually ready, then he would potentially be able to make something happen, but power's back online. Lots of multi-gunner turrets going to be keeping LiCtor safe for the time being. This one engineer going to be making the long walk, while his buddy is going to get the airlift directly to the location. Looks like the terror drone was dealt with, and it's going to be IFVs coming out for LiCtor. Dimon moving his MCV somewhere. All the way out to the 5th water refinery, so he's not even going to bother taking this, which traditionally, that is the closer one. Oil derrick pretty much immediately gone for Dimon, so he didn't actually get very much value out of that engineer. And this 4th refinery going to be going down from Dimon at what is kind of traditionally the 5th refinery location. But tech-up going to be happening from LiCtor, as well as dropping another multi-gunner turret. He's just very slowly and surely sort of building out his army, and it's like everything he does is supported by those multi-gunner turrets. Everywhere that he goes, there's 1 or 2 multi-gunner turrets. Leech beams, of course, going to be able to outrange them. Another oil derrick does go down right around the time that that 5th refinery does get established. 1 twin blade going to be going over there just to keep an eye on things, and satellites going to be raining down as well. Cryoblast gets 1 hammer tank, but the Vindicators, are they actually here to do anything about it? They are. They kill 1, but trade out 2 Vindicators for it. The IFBs dash forward, grab 1 of the frozen hammer tanks, and it looks like... Is there an engineer? Okay, no, he's not going for a sneaky, cheeky MCV cap during the battle. Sometimes players will try and do that, and the loss of the refinery on the front lines is very annoying. 1 flak trooper going to be trying to throw some mines and do some damage. Will eventually get taken down by those IFBs, but my gosh, that's going to take a while. The Prospector did manage to escape, and this is a hilarious battle of rockets trying to shoot infantry before a single lone infantry kills an entire building by himself. Not terribly often that you see that. Command hub is up, which means refinery will most likely be going down relatively soon here for LiCtor. Looks like he's building it now. A couple of twin blades popping on out. The MiGs did get taken out a little bit earlier there by those IFVs. Looks like 2 more MiGs out on the field for Dimon. Athena cannon popping on out for LiCtor. There's the reestablishment of his refinery as well as the sell-off of his airfield. So he's going to be transitioning, it looks like, primarily to Tier 3 ground. Just going to be mainly pumping out from that war factory. And Dimon, on the other hand, well, first of all, Kirov reporting, which I do wish that the global sound of the Kirov reporting played out in the replay, because that would be amazing. 1 twin blade and a couple of MiGs going to be heading around to the north side of the map, and looks like looks like LiCtor is aware of it, although no Vindicators are going to be there. Whoa, he's going way around to the north side of the map. Athena cannons, Peacekeepers, and a couple of Guardian tanks are going to be the unit mix. The IFVs do catch sight of this a little bit, and it looks like the twin blade may end up going down there. Can he actually kill off this Harvester? It looks like the answer will be yes. With so low on HP, that Harvester does die. Grabs an IFV as well, so it could be 2 for the price of 1 for Dimon, while on the front line, Hammer Tank's starting to leech things away, and it looks like this IFV, it's going to be close. It will go down just barely. The Terror Drone manages to escape. Hammer Tank's trying to leech down a couple of things, but it looks like the Athena cannons were able to push them away. MiGs on the north side going to be returning home, and the slow move forward is coming out from LiCtor. IFVs and Peacekeepers, a couple of Javelin Troopers continuing to be produced. And can LiCtor actually start chipping away at the army of Dimon? Because Dimon, in the right kind of position, while perhaps his Kirovs are taking down the infrastructure of LiCtor, and Dimon could do some serious damage, but, I mean, he does have a big army to deal with knocking on his front door. MCV is exposed, and it is going to be targeted by these Athena cannons. V4 rocket going to be coming down. Not able to hit anything just yet. 1 Guardian tank does get eliminated, and the V4 rocket's going to be forcing the Athena cannons back, and this is, of course, where a combo of either cryocopters or a couple of Vindicators to help break the stalemate can be very nice. Once again, on the north side, MiGs and a twin blade potentially going to be going for a little bit of Harvester harassment, because being able to break your enemy's economy and stop them from being able to rebuild after a big engagement is very important. A couple of Javelin Troopers going to be taking some damage there. Twin Blade coming in. Is he going to be able to drop anything off? He's just sort of hanging out here. Almost gets taken out there. And Dimon worried about both the front lines and his little bit of harassment on the back end. Going to be calling in the cash reward. And it looks like LiCtor pulling back, just getting pushed continually further and further back. Oh, Twin Blade goes down. Getting pushed continually further and further back by the V4s, which at this point, LiCtor started out with an advantage in the artillery, but at this point, there are so many V4 rockets, and with the hammer tanks to back them up and the bullfrogs to keep away the aircraft, this is becoming a real problem for LiCtor. He wasn't able to make anything happen early on, and as a result, his cryocopter's finally on the field, but he just keeps getting pushed further and further back. We need to keep an eye on this Kirov just to make sure that it's not going to do anything without us watching. Shield coming up for that Athena cannon, saving a couple of lives there, but the cryo shot was enough to push back Dimon for now. The Kirov has revealed itself, and without any Apollos in the sky, it may be difficult to actually take this down. He just goes for the sell-off. He says, forget it, I'm not even going to try and save that refinery. It's going to die, so I might as well get as much value as I can. And the Kirov, the combination of the IFVs and that multi-gunner turret, does go down. Did he really only produce the one Kirov? There's a second Kirov there, but there was no follow-up. Couple of V4s going down on the front lines, but it looks like trying to shrink down the V4s, shorten their range, and stop them from taking out this refinery is LiCtor's current plan. Of course, it's always hilarious when players get something like a V4 or any artillery unit shrunk down, and then that unit accidentally suicides itself into range of defenses. It's very annoying to have that happen to you, but it's funny to watch other people go through that misery and that horror. A couple of Peacekeepers taken down. The refinery goes down, but a refinery in the main base has been rebuilt. EMP locks down a couple of, well, actually more than a handful of hammer tanks there. Multi-gunner turret going to be going down, and aircraft carriers in the middle of the map going to be helping these Peacekeepers lock down these hammer tanks and carve away at the army of Dimon. Cryocopters as well, going to be just helping to even the odds. And instead of going a traditional aircraft route, aircraft carriers are a good choice for sure. You got to help break that stalemate, and a combination of cryocopters and aircraft carriers definitely does that. Second War Factory going to be getting dropped down, sold the one on the high ground. And these refineries staying up for now. Natasha, can she get any critical snipes? One Bullfrog going down, but a handful of Athenas might also be going down. Satellites completely whiff, but it doesn't matter. The hammer tanks get them anyways. So can the aircraft carriers clear out the hammer tanks? MiG's going to be trying to clean up the cryocopters, which is, of course, a huge problem for any Soviet player to deal with. Natasha going into the building to try and snipe some of these aircraft carriers and keep them from actually doing anything. 5, 6 hammer tanks maybe getting frozen there, but can anything be done about it? IFV is going to be rushing forward, and it looks like calling down some kind of support power. Dimon going to be carpeting the area in poison. Is able to save one of the hammer tanks. The other 4, I think, do end up going down, and a terror drone spawns and infects one of the IFVs. Another aircraft carrier going to be popping out, and he does grab 2 heroic multi-gunner IFVs with that same terror drone in just a matter of moments. Actually, no. The Naval Yard, the repair drone's able to deal with that terror drone before it killed the second IFV. Ooh, 2 more Peacekeepers just going to be walking into the edge of that corruption and dying just a little bit there. Trading missiles, but I don't know that it will actually matter. No, not yet. The terror drone, it looks like, does manage to escape, just barely getting back from the water. And a combination of V4 rockets and aircraft carrier drones going to be trying to wipe stuff out. More Bullfrogs going to be trying to cover the retreat of the V4s. But this has just become a madness, just total madness in the middle of the map. Sometimes you see the Allied player just, turret push with his MCV right through the middle of the map, and then and then they kind of swap sides or something, but this has been total lockdown. Both of these players controlling their side of the map as best they can. Single Riptide going to be going for a harass on kind of the south side of the map, heading for that water expansion. I don't know if LiCtor was actually really aware that Dimon had that expansion for as long as he had, considering that he never really went for harassment of it. And now this one Kirov going pretty much uncontested into the base of LiCtor. He's mostly taken out power plants so far. If he could have gotten the War Factory, the MCV, or the Naval Yard, that would have been a much bigger deal. But power plants in a very endangered refinery are kind of par for the course. Those are the things that you don't mind losing as much. Even the Javelin Trooper is going to be getting out of the way so that they don't get taken out. And it looks like Twin Blade's finally going to be responding to this Riptide. And just as the Harvester pops back out. So the timing absolutely perfect there from Dimon. And it looks like LiCtor, I assumed that was a prospector to set up a little base there. Set up a little expansion. That one heroic IFV going to be doing some good damage. And these V4s just going to be sacrificing themselves. One gets shrunk down, and the other one just gets slowly eliminated. That Terror Drone having to be frozen to ensure that it would not cause trouble. One aircraft carrier unable to retreat on account of one guy on an entire aircraft carrier getting sniped. But of course, you know, the captain, he's just so important. Looks like there isn't anything to actually... Oh my gosh. Literally, by like the smallest amount of damage possible, were those few Twin Blades able to kill off that aircraft carrier before the hydrofoil scared them away. Vacuum Imploder going to be coming down for Dimon. Will the game actually last long enough for the Vacuum Imploder to go off? There's actually a decent chance that it will. These guys are pretty evenly matched, going back and forth quite a bit. Harassment coming out from both sides, but without a clear edge being able to be gained by either or. I mean, progressing just into the Tier 3 and artillery stage of the game, even commandos coming out, but without either one being able to break the other. I mean, these guys are pretty well matched, all things considered. Small hit squad of Twin Blades going to be running around. Might actually be worth, as we progress into this game, dropping a Crusher Crane just for the repairs, so that he can keep some of those units alive. Because Twin Blades, if you keep them alive, especially a hit squad of 6 or so, when they go around either dropping off units, using them as transport, or just using them as a hit squad, they can be super effective, especially if your opponent is distracted during a big battle. LiCtor, if he could just gather his forces together, I feel like he could punch right through Dimon, but those hammer tanks, they're a scary, scary wall, and they're staying out of range of the aircraft carriers. Just the combination of Twin Blades and hammer tanks, the mobility of the Twin Blades, stopping LiCtor from being able to really like circumvent the front line of hammer tanks, and then Dimon is just pulled back. He's just hanging out, he's chilling. And LiCtor, he's going to be looking for an alternate angle of attack with hydrofoils in the water and IFVs on the land. These Twin Blades are finding it hard-pressed to actually find a good angle of approach. One refinery going to be getting taken down. It's almost depleted, so only 3 grand left in that ore mine, which means, you know, that refinery, it is still very important, but as it gets closer and closer to depleted, sniping those refineries, it actually becomes more effective in some ways, but because the refineries aren't producing as much, the refineries that are further out, that have a little more value left in them, become the more important ones. Sentry bombers, so the airfield getting rebuilt a little bit closer to Dimon's base, and Sentry bombers going to be going for the long bombing run to kill that ore refinery. Maybe 1 or 2 Apollos wouldn't even be a bad idea, just looking at these Twin Blades and how often they're just running around without any support. Did get the cash back on that refinery, so a nice move there from Dimon, and constantly pumping out more and more V4s. There's the crane going to be coming down, and these 6 Twin Blades, one of which is double vet, and could definitely go heroic potentially, which would just give them that much more power in his Air Force. They're going to be getting repaired up. 1 single MiG. Well, okay, never mind. I guess they're not going to be getting repaired up. They're going to be going for a little bit of a scouting mission. Hydrofoil cleans up one, and a second one almost goes down between the Hydrofoil and the IFVs. Satellite's going to be coming in. He just needed the vision, and 2 Athena cannons do go down. That's super annoying for him to deal with. Another Kirov gets taken out before it reaches that refinery, so no sell-off needed. The IFV's able to spot that Kirov and take it down quickly enough. More, whatever the poison is called. Desolators? Desolator airstrike? That might actually be it. 4 sentry bombers, a big investment from LiCtor, but considering that he's been doing all right on the economy front, he can afford it. And is he going to be able to get absolutely everything here? The super reactor goes down, the refinery goes down, and all 4 sentry bombers escape. I think there was a MiG over top of that ended up getting taken out. And low power mode, with only a minute 57 left on the vacuum imploder, it does go into that low power mode, going to be pausing it. And aircraft carrier drones going to be going for the kill on some of these bullfrogs, and it looks like one bullfrog will go down. I was definitely about to say that the bullfrogs all survived, but one of them did end up going down there. LiCtor still hasn't actually been able to run forward and grab that expansion out on the water, so he's still just cooking with those 4 refineries. Natasha gets the snipe on the aircraft carrier, but considering that it's so well protected, Dimon is not able to finish the job. This is a surprising number of Mirage tanks. You look away, and LiCtor has built like 6 more Mirage tanks. Last time I checked, he had only had the 1. 5 twin blades sharking around the map. They're going to be going for the kill on this 1 multi-gunner turret, which that multi-gunner turret isn't doing a whole lot, but it does open up this attack path a little bit more. And if LiCtor wants to re-secure the middle of the map, purchasing another multi-gunner turret is not what he wants to be spending his money on. At this point, he does want to be... Ooh, that twin blade narrowly escaping. LiCtor does want to be spending his money more on units and not static defense. Super reactor almost finishing up, and as you can see how long that took, Dimon is short on cash, losing that refinery. And yeah, it was still a fully operational refinery, so has not been depleted yet. Proudgeddon going to be firing off how many? 3, 4, 5 of those V4s. This is the big push forward. Twin blades going to be getting absolutely shut down. Mirage tanks rush forward. This is so many hammer tanks. LiCtor really needs to get on top of this armory if he's going to have a chance. His infantry on the back end not really joining the forces, but the crush through the Cryogeddon, blasting through Dimon's forces and shattering the front line. With a minute left on this vacuum imploder, LiCtor seems to have done it. Natasha doing what she can, but the forces just weren't there. Satellite's going to be getting called down, and LiCtor is kind of pulling in a Hail Mary to try and go for this, for the vacuum imploder, even though there are still a couple of hammer tanks still alive. He wants to clear this out. Shrink Ray going to be coming in on those hammer tanks. And Dimon, without an attack going on the back end, a huge Desolator airstrike going to be coming down and wasting so many of these allied units, both heroic and infantry alike. The Mirage tank narrowly escapes, and another Mirage tank going heroic with just a bit of HP. Gonna get leeched to death by this hammer tank? Maybe no. 1 Mirage tank going to be turning around, take the fall for his buddy, forcing this hammer tank to back off, and that Desolator airstrike did absolute wonders to stop that attack. Dimon on the edge of defeat, staring down a tier 3 army with only hammer tanks and bullfrogs left. And yet, he was able to hold off, at least for now. The aircraft carriers unable to really assist in that battle. I mean, imagine how much differently that would have gone if the aircraft carriers had been out over here, hitting these refineries, maybe even the battle lab or this refinery, taking down some of that economy. But sentry bombers going to be going for a run. It looks like he's splitting them between the 2 refineries, I assume. Going to be trying to take down the economy of Dimon. Apollo's showing up to deal with the MiGs. 1 refinery going to be going down, and the second one gets eliminated as well, earning these sentry bombers, well, unfortunately, earning them some death, but really earning them some veteran status, as 2 of them are heroic and 1 of them is double vet. Dimon desperately trying to get his economy back online after having lost 2 more refineries right in the middle of his original main base. Cancels the refinery that he was building out on the water. And I mean, at this point, he might have to start salvaging some of these buildings, or some of these units even, as he gets some cash back using his crusher crane. And, is he actually going to be cashing back his ore collector as well? You got to get every little bit of cash that you can. There's the ore refinery. I wonder if he canceled it and built it instead with the crusher crane. Apollo's going to be clearing up some of these MiGs, but it looks like it's actually the MiGs who are going to be in the lead. The victors with that heroic status. Sentry Bomber's able to clean up that crusher crane, and that is also the end of that refinery on the left side. LiCtor slowly but surely pushing back every inch of the map that Dimon had. And that is it. Dimon, faced with nothing but sentry bombers and aircraft carriers and Mirage tanks, decides to tap out there. LiCtor able to take the slow crawl of victory. And that will pretty much do it. A pretty fun snowplow AVS, and surprisingly, not really a turret pushy kind of game. LiCtor actually trailing slightly in resources for the majority of the game until he started taking out those refineries, and then you can see he crosses over, but Dimon with a little bit of an advantage there. Our vacuum imploder friend, oh so sorry. But that will do it for this game. Thank you very much for watching, and this is Sybert, signing out.